Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome back to American Truck Simulator, and we're at a first here for the series. So we took our last load up here to Starkville, and we don't have any jobs that we can take out of here, which makes life interesting. So I think the most logical thing to do, I'm going to search around. I guess I'm going to start back down here because these are closer. There is a job up here in Denver that I saw that is, in fact, a fragile job, but it goes way up to Colorado, which is not the end of the world. We'll see what else we can find. Because again, I'm not looking to get pulled back over here right now. So I was hoping I could get up to Colorado, and then, we've got Utah and Idaho and, all these things here, because I think Nevada also does have more American cities, even though it looks sparse. Arizona, I don't think, has been touched. But, we've got Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Nevada, Utah, all of those. So my hope was we could do some stuff here, but it seems Starkville is just too small. So there is ultimately nothing that will really be that much better. A lot of things do head here through Kansas. I've actually got some jobs. I basically kind of stayed up here to peek around. I've got some jobs. I've got one that would take me to Cheyenne. So, but I'm basically moving this much back to go there. And it's actually even longer than this run is by about 50 miles. It's right up at that 600-mile limit that would have been the initial limit anyway. So we're going to basically have to be happy with the thing of, well, we're trying to get up here. We're going to go to Colorado. We got ourselves to Denver. However it is that we did as a quick job person, we hitchhiked. We, caught a ride with another fellow trucker. But there's nothing that lets us drive there without owning a truck. So I can't just say bobtail over to Denver. And a lot of other things down here just then go to Denver, which would give me a way to get to Denver. But I'm still going just as far in travel this way, if not more, than I am that way. So it's like if I'm going to suspend reality, I'm going to go ahead and I guess take advantage of the first fragile job we've ever had in this series yet. And we will take this job of tableware from Denver to Jackson, Wyoming, which is a good destination. And then it gets us to the border of Idaho and Utah, where, again, maybe we can take advantage of the more American cities and make some progress and hang around up here. We shall see what the future will bring, but for now, as any trucker will tell you, it's just the job in front of us. All right, almost 400,000 on this truck. We've got our scary demon horse in front of us. So we're at FedEx Denver, which would make sense that it's out by the airport. So got a Mack truck, and again, a dry van full of tableware. So very exciting indeed. So let's see. I don't remember on the Mack trucks. There we go. I think that gives us distance 0. So again, we have a long haul today. So we are going to get going. So you're like, what is he talking about with the demon horse? If you're unfamiliar, I don't know that it gets talked about that much now, because frankly, there's so many other things in the world. But when this airport was built in Denver, for whatever reason, it's a Mustang, I guess, they created that, and you can start to see, I don't know how easy it's going to come out in the video, and some of it depends, but you can see it's got some red eyes. Well, those eyes light up at night, and its nickname kind of became the Demon Horse because people felt he kind of looked like a demon because he's blue. We're going to go ahead and we're going to enjoy the viewpoint. I'm sure we'll get a close-up of the Demon Horse. So let's get ourselves in here. Turn this off and take a look. So Denver Airport. So there's our FedEx facility that we just left. In case you didn't see it, but the airport is right behind it. So the planes obviously come right in. And, you know, you can see a picture of it there in the night, glowing away a little bit. Not quite sure why it flipped. There you go. So I think the fact that it's blue, it looks like it has, like, lightning on its body. A lot of it just all ran together. So it's been, I don't know that I would say lovingly dubbed the Demon Horse. So it looks like we've got some Air National Guard or something, because that, I don't know. That would seem to be like a C-130-ish type aircraft. And there we go. That was quick and easy. It was mainly about the Demon Horse. I mean, let's be honest. So here we go. Hey, he's blue like we are. And there's the competitor that shall not be named right next to us. Again, we don't work for FedEx, so I suppose we don't care. But, you know, as you would assume, cargo carriers are clustered around the airport. And, you know, we go from there. Now, surprised the distance is still 0.0. There we go. I was going to say, I doubt it does, you know, fractions, but still, I would have expected something a little different. So yeah, delivering near the airport is pretty normal. I'm not quite sure why that truck is just sitting there, but whatever he wants to do. I assume we're then just going to go ahead and get on the interstate here and begin our very, very long journey. This may be the longest haul we have had in this series to date, because I know I've been trying to keep things pretty low, and down in Texas and whatever, like I would have had 300, 400, 500, but pushing almost 550. Not sure I've done one this long. If I have, it's probably very, very similar, because I don't think I took anything that was like 597 like the other one that I saw that, again, would take me up to Cheyenne. And Cheyenne is certainly interesting because if you don't know, you know, I don't ever want to assume, because frankly, it seems like a good portion of the commenters, at least, you know, I think the analytics still tell me most of my viewership is United States based or North America based, but because I don't know that it says United States, I think it just says North America, Europe on the YouTube stats. But the majority of the commenters seem to be European, so I would assume to some degree there's less familiarity with details of the United States. But Jackson Jackson Hole is what it's normally known at, but I guess the town is officially known as Jackson. I honestly thought it was known as Jackson Hole. But it is a ski resort near Yellowstone. And the Grand Tetons, which is a mountain range. Really cool. I have vacationed out there. I was blessed once. We took a trailer trip out west there and looked at Yellowstone, the Badlands, Mount Rushmore. You know, those things are in South Dakota. The latter things, Yellowstone's in Wyoming. But, you know, just a lot of national parks, things like that. but we camped for days near the base of the Tetons and very close to Jackson Hole. So I thought it was known as Jackson Hole, but and I think it's a really big valley by the Tetons. I mean, they kind of rise up out of relatively flat land. It's pretty stark, but so it's not like you would think of a holler or something out east, you know, where it's just a tiny little valley nestled amongst a bunch of hills, mountains, whatever you want to call them. I and many others, I guess, struggle with, you know, when things are 6,000 feet tall at the highest or so, which I think is some of the highest peaks over here on the east side of the U.S., in the Appalachians and things like that, because I believe Klingman's Dome is 6,600 and I want to say 52 feet, 54 feet. Maybe it's 6656. I know it's some kind of a semi-repetitive number. Alright, is he gonna let me in? Because again, we're dealing with the GDC traffic behavior mod, so he might be nicer than... Well, I've got to exit. I've got to get out of here now, so I'm gonna have to slow down and then move over.
Keep left.
Otherwise, we're gonna get trapped here. But yes, so it is a ski community. It is a playground for the rich and famous. I'm sure many of them have homes there and so forth, but it is not somewhere that you will make a living and live in unless you're very wealthy.
Right.
I mean, there's obviously, like any of those communities, you know, there's the service workers who, let's see, now which way? Keep right, and then,
right.
Okay, so we're going to Fort Collins, you know, who work in the restaurants and things like that, but, you know, I don't know, they probably live in a trailer somewhere on some vacant land or something. I think it's a very, very difficult community to find affordable housing in, but the key is it's small. So we may start having more of these situations, because that was the other issue, is I went to some of the little towns in Texas. I also had no loads from them. So it could be just time of year with the mod. I'm not sure. But it could, you know, it is late January. I'm not really playing these much differently. But depending how they have the real economy mod loaded, and what type of demand it creates, you know, that could be like, hey, there's not a whole lot happening in the wintertime in little towns in Colorado for hauling. Like maybe if I was here in the summer, there'd be all kinds of livestock related type of movement, farming, things like that. It was just that load caught my attention. I didn't know if it was like a shunting locomotive or whatever. But we're down to less than 500 now, so Loveland and Sterling. Good news is it's a sunny day here in American Truck Simulator. Not a cloud in the sky right now. I'm not going to hold my breath and assume that that's going to stay. But yeah, definitely. So yeah, you saw that DHL go by maybe on the left. Out here, out west, doubles and triples are allowed, so it's one of the few places you're going to see them in the U.S. You move to the East Coast and so forth, which also is intriguing to me, because if you want really different and interesting kind of loads, the east side of the United States, you don't want to be there. It's pretty dull. It's, you know, flatbeds, so again, another double. Flatbeds, dry vans, you know, pretty much run-of-the-mill. It's kind of like having vanilla ice cream. There's not much happening of note, and some of the more unique halls and so forth will certainly be out in the western U.S. So for all these people's desire of, I want them to finish that, I want them to expand over there, it's intriguing to me sometimes, because it's kind of the be careful what you wish for. Now, it's noon on a Saturday. Again, I don't know how much the traffic behavior mod adjusts for things like that, location and so forth, but clearly, you know, there's less people out here. Is that like it's like a buffalo up on the hill. It seems like an Easter egg, because it does not look like a buffalo statue. It looked like it was supposed to really be a buffalo. I mean, we are in Colorado. It is the symbol. But, yeah, interesting. So we're going to go through a good portion here. Obviously, north-south, we'll head through Colorado, and then we'll kind of go more east-west through Wyoming. Oh, is that really the border? Welcome to Wyoming. Did we already get there? I guess. Home equity loans. Yeah, exit 4. So maybe... What's in front of us? It looks like a horse dying. No, I think it's just an optical illusion. It's a building behind... trees behind a lighter building. That was kind of funny. Alright, port of entry. So... that might have just been a billboard, or maybe that was the border. But either way, I guess we've made it. Well, I guess port of entry is in a mile. But it had told us we could skip. Or maybe this is another one. So we can skip that too. So yeah, it does on quick jobs. I think I've noticed it skips things a lot more. If you watch some of my series on ATS where I was just doing like the coast to coast and things like that, a lot of times in ATS, you feel like you're getting stopped all the time. Left. And again, that's probably realistic for what most truckers actually deal with. But it's one of those, like, it takes a while for a truck to speed up, and, you know, you go from there. So, the other big news, not that I had told you any big news, I'd just been telling you information, but the big news is 1.58 is starting to get a lot of press from SCS, and we kind of can start to see they've got some changes coming, including and then exit right. They're adjusting the physics of the vehicles. They're changing exit the right. Interface. They say not like substantially, but in some areas it looks pretty substantial. But the big question will again be, when and if can I move? And I'm hoping with just having more American cities that it will be less challenging, so I might be able to move right away here. But yeah, when can I move to it? But the public beta just started yesterday, I think. So typically what we see is it's about a month where they do that before it gets released. Sometimes it's quicker, but given everything they've got in there, I'm thinking they're going to err on the higher side. The other thing, speaking of double trailers that they're including, is the third Coming Soon box that has lived in Driver Academy has now been revealed, and it is all about doubles. So I will probably revisit the Academy at some point just to take a peek at that. Because it's definitely kind of interesting. Especially given the fact that in theory they explain to you how to reverse these things. I really didn't think you could reverse doubles. I mean, logically you can, but I just figured it was going to be a disaster. And they show you how to do it. I'm going to stay away from saying that it's not going to be a disaster. And again, I'm wondering because the other driver academy things, like, I don't know that they really taught you the skill as much as just said, here's what I want you to do, and you kind of had to figure things out. So just imagine backing that thing up into someplace. I've always just had delivery points where we pull in, but that does worry me to some degree, because they might start to introduce delivery points where you're reversing double wides in. So that will have to pull, not double wides, those are mobile homes, double trailers in. And yeah, it's just, I get the shakes just thinking about it. So I don't know. Alright, it should hold me at 65, and right now we're not. It did have a downhill, but it wasn't a very long one. We've been here before, so I don't remember, because again, when we started the series and I was jumping around the country for a few episodes and then decided, nah, that's not really reasonable. We took a job. Obviously, I assume from Denver, hence why we're going this way, and probably up to areas of Wyoming. Although, well, I think we had some area we didn't. So maybe I took it from Cheyenne and headed out some way. I just don't know. I don't know that Jackson had been discovered. There were 2 or 3 towns in Wyoming that were lit up, but I'm not sure. It is getting cloudy, so per what normally happens, I probably should start to take a look. Because now that we're in late January, I'd say we're officially in winter. And they have recommendations for each of the 4 seasons. I probably should look, because I think it gets a bit drier. I think they recommend something in the 30% range instead of the 40% range. So I should probably make that adjustment. Even though we're no longer dabbling with the, the Grimes mods for the seasons, because that seemed to be causing a problem. We still are in that season, so the mods will function as if it's wintertime, and that will include the daylight hours, so we will likely start to see, it is getting a little shadowy, or just a little less bright, so we will probably start to see the sun going down in 4 hours at the latest, I would think. So we'll see. And we'll still be on the road there. This is going to take a little bit to deliver. But we're going to XPO Logistics with this, and it'll be interesting to see how the XP works, because I don't know. I think, again, it's just a percentage of our base, so since the base is obviously adjusted down, we're going to get 22% of whatever it is, but we'll see how that goes. Now, I did notice when I came in, we are officially, if we were in base game progression, we are officially in level 14 at this point. We've just crossed over that threshold. Last time we've got maybe 10-15% in there. And it's like level 15, level 20 is when a good amount of different kind of trucks in the base game get unlocked. Once again, one of the things the mod does here is it gives you access to most things right away. Your limitation, however, is your funds. You don't have the money to do any of those things, but just like in the real world, there's another one of those. That's the second one of those loads we've seen. So, buses, trucks, did have, I think that was just a car, but it's just quieter. And more importantly, we haven't had any idiocy of anything merging in front of us, or we haven't seen any crashes on on-ramps. That is the change the traffic behavior mod brings. So, while they may have to do something with the physics mod when 158 comes out, because there are physics changes. Now, I have heard that there are people, I think, trying to use it with the beta, and they made some comments that it actually makes it even better. The GDC physics mod is even better than it was, because obviously it's, I assume, starting from the point that the other mod does, or that the base game now does with its changes, and so that it's even more realistic according to people who know. All right, so this was the exit for where things were going before. So there we go. Yeah, once again, you'd think I smoked or something with as often as I need to clear my throat, but so that was the delay there of just driving, was just getting to the mute and getting to the mucus. Sorry for the disgustingness, but hey, sometimes us truckers, we're just a little crass, I suppose. But below 300, so we're actually over halfway now. But yeah, that was as far as we had gone this way, and so yes, it starts to make me think we have not been out to Jackson. We had gone somewhere, maybe to Rawlins, where it was exiting. Strong winds pose a blowover risk. Yes, they would. I've seen that happen, not in person, thank goodness. God, I think that would scare the heck out of me if a truck near me started to tip over on its wheels and then fell over or something. That would be pretty terrifying, especially if you were next to it when it started doing that, but you can see the sun's starting to get down. Basically, I'd call it the A post of the truck. Over there in front of me on the left is blocking it out, which is fine. But, some Dayton freight. So the traffic is certainly more truck heavy, I would say. I mean, we've seen some vehicles. We know the last few times in towns and whatever, we've definitely been able to see more of the passenger cars and such. Yeah, that was a bit of an odd behavior of him. I mean, he slowed down to the speed of the truck in front of him, and maybe he needs to exit. I don't know that we're gonna really get to see that. Looks like he's certainly exiting. And I think, again, the exit behavior is a little more realistic. It did slow down there, obviously, in the main lane. Yeah, it kind of looks like they both exited. So that might be why he tucked himself in there, because initially I'm like, well, this is almost like the SCS behavior where he went in front of me and then suddenly he's hitting his brakes where I have to get around him. But it may have been reasonable behavior, because you may have just been like, well, I'm passing you, but my exit's coming up, so I'm now going to get in front of you, and then obviously I had to move over because I was going faster than them, which is interesting given that in theory we can go 80 and I'm just going 65 and somehow I caught them. So I've said before, it has been a while since we've been out in the West, and honestly I don't know that I've been much out here in the West in this series, since, you know, we started in Texas and spent a lot of time there, but the series before definitely was visiting, appreciating the type of beauty that this is. You know, it's still just awe-inspiring in a different way, but just the general brownness of the West, I'd have a hard time enjoying this area of the country being my home. For some people, they love it. It's awesome. But for me, it would not be. So, you know, but I appreciate just, you know, the hills, the rocks. I mean, the stark beauty of it is certainly there.
Right.
It's just
and
not.
Then exit right.
Okay, so I saw Teton on the sign. So we're gonna head Elk Street. Interesting. So I guess we're in town. So now I would expect to start seeing some more passenger vehicles.
Keep right.
Looks
And
like
then
we have
turn
3 cars there at the exit, so it's already beginning. There's 2 more crossing through. So,
Turn
yes,
right.
in town, we've got more of the other vehicles. Taking the opportunity to get a drink. We've got a Love's, we've got a Texas Roadhouse. Looks like there's a Chevron up there somewhere. Maybe that's by the Love's. Oh, no, Love. Chevron's to the side, so Chevron might be next to us, where I can't quite see. It looks like there's some buildings in between. But as I said, it's 5 o'clock. The shadows are getting long. Once we turn, that A post is not going to be in the way, and it might be behind us, so it might not be coming in too much, but you can definitely start to see the sun is going down pretty early, where in base game it's, you know, 8 o'clock at night, because it's basically the summer solstice is in theory where they've set it at. Alright, so we can go 35, so we just want to be careful. 1 can and you can. Is that like Red Bull or something? I don't know. I'm sure it's some energy drink for those that need extra energy through some chemical means. Oh, wildfire. Doesn't look too bad. Jackson's 174, and yes, I do believe it's just, you know, it isn't that it's not a highway type thing, it's still high-speed roadways. So we're here, you know, we're going down now to a 2-lane, but it is US Route 191, and, yeah, this is kind of the roadways you'd be getting going here. Now, I hate this because, again, the thing I don't like is as soon as the train signal goes, like, the wall appears instantly. So when you're going high speed like that, it's nerve-wracking because if those gates start to move, you don't have much time to slow down. Alright, we're about halfway, so that was a police car. So that wasn't, anything else, but we're out of town now and things are pretty sparse again. And it would be. So I think Wyoming per square mile, I could be wrong because Alaska might work that way because there's just so many places that nobody lives there and it's so big and so few people in general. But I think per square mile, Wyoming has the least amount of people of any state in the country. If it isn't Wyoming, then it's probably second. I'm sure it's in the top 5 for the least amount of people. So is that kind of like a double negative? I don't know. You know, should it be at the bottom 5 for the least amount of people? I don't know. I don't know how we describe that. But, so having light traffic really is correct. So
Go straight.
you know, there is that portion of things. So once again, if and when there's a More American Cities Wyoming, I'm assuming this will be whatever city it is, and there will be a delivery point or two there on the way up to Jackson. But, you know, and I would think that this would be an easier map to do it on, because just like I said, I'm almost positive there's a More American Cities Nevada. But when you look at the map compared to, say, California right next to it, it doesn't look like there is. But it's just so spread out here in the West, which is, again, the people who want to live here and enjoy it. I mean, that's a big draw.
Keep right.
And whether they tolerate the stark brownness, because they just don't want to be around a bunch of people. They kind of, you know, that this would be where folks who want to be off the grid, as we call it in the US, would definitely kind of be drawn to, because, yeah, it's pretty simple. Like, if you just want to live and then have your property and never talk to anybody for years on end, you can probably do that a lot easier here than at other places. And so it may just be, yeah, I love the fact that all I see is what I would call dead grass, but this is what it looks like out here. But, you know, just dead grass and
Keep right.
little bumpy
And then
hills.
Go straight.
Oh, I see, because it's a left turn lane. Like, keep right and go straight. This doesn't even make sense, but again, there's in theory some other thing here. I'm sure it's some little one horse, I mean, it doesn't even have a stoplight type of town. Right, we're below 100 miles, so we will be there before it's exceptionally late. Somehow the rain held off. Now it is pretty cloudy, so I'm not gonna rule out the fact that it may still start raining before we deliver, and we'll be getting out of the truck in the rain. I think I see a star there, though. Going to the left, just about at the post. But, so yeah, on a trucking on the channel, was that roadkill? It may have been. The truck definitely tipped there, so there's the physics mod.
And then go straight.
But
Go straight.
tip to trucking on the channel, I've done, I did 2 videos at this point on the Dalton Highway, and I shouldn't say at this point because I don't know that I'm going to go back to it.
Right.
But there are 2 videos on the 1-to-1 map, the Dalton Highway. And I had a really, really lengthy comment from, I think, the creator of that map. He found one of the first one that I did, which was just looking at it, and I think I spent an hour on it, you know, did a load for, I don't know, 100 miles or something. I don't remember. Might have even been shorter than that. But he was telling me about the rest of the map, and hey, if, you know, you got to be pretty committed to drive the whole length all the way up to Dead Horse, which I did, and it's a 13-hour marathon on the channel that got put together over like 2.5 months, so it's out there for you to enjoy, and I encouraged him to go look at it, but I don't know if he will, but it was cool that someone found it, and they spent the time to comment and share, but they were explaining a lot of things about how everything on the map is real, for the most part, other than very, very few things. It did surprise me with the information, because I thought to some degree, I'm like, well, this is just, you know, a good representation, but obviously it's still not that accurate, but he set me correct on that. Right. Again, this is SCS roads, so it is likely a 40-mile-an-hour turn. I am not going to go blowing through that. Again, we're getting it near the Tetons, sadly in the dark, but 41 miles. So, getting near Jackson. But big river next to us. Typical kind of mountain driving. Whether you're in the eastern U.S. or the western, a lot of the roadways just go along as well as the train tracks with rivers, because rivers aren't just suddenly going to hit a wall, because obviously they wouldn't be there then, because there wouldn't be a way for the river to flow. But so roadways, any through parts usually will follow a riverbed. So it is not uncommon to drive for a long time next to the river. So again, I would say this is probably something, they'd add a delivery to. So I think that's how the More American Cities guy does it, is just where on the map are there things, and I'm going to turn those into towns and give them their name and put some delivery points there and enhance the map. So there's certainly opportunity here for that. But now we are in the realm of that 1 to 20 scale that I talked about in some videos earlier on. Is, we were talking about moving to the East Coast, and people want this, and that people have analyzed and said, we're going to have a problem because, Philadelphia and New York are basically 20 seconds apart from each other in a 1 to 20 scale type of thing. And, it's just so much more densely populated there. But out here, that's where they just give you the opportunity to drive and feel like you're covering vast distances, because you are.
Take the first exit.
And it still feels, vast-ish. Right, so 10 miles, so...
Exit now.
So Jackson is up here. We got the grocery market. There's enough ice machines out there, huh? They got 3, maybe 4. I'm just wondering if this side has 2, but it's not really worth verifying. So, yeah, because of the length of this, because I'm always sometimes like, well, sit down, get a couple runs done, so that I can get you a couple episodes. But given the length of this, I'm not going to run another one, because I do have to jump to my weekly VFR flight. So we're going to go explore the skies over Ireland and England again. Right, so Jackson is discovered.
Turn left.
So the country store. I hear the motorcycle sounds are weird. They sound like mopeds to me. So I will say, nobody's, and again, there's probably a mod out there that gives you the that you'd expect like from a Harley or an Indian or something like that. But most bikes, even the crotch rockets, as we call them, the Hondas and Yamahas that are the sleek ones, and you bend forward and go crazy on, and people do really stupid things on. They don't sound that way. Like, to me it's a moped sound, and once again, that may be a gap in the fact that SCS is a European country. I don't think you've got a whole lot of Harleys over there out in the Czech Republic. So, you're not exposed to that. But I've got 3 or 4 folks in our little neighborhood here that own motorcycles, and I promise you, none of them sound like that. So, it's always funny. I mean, I know what it is when I hear it in game. I'm like, oh, here comes a motorcycle. But But it looks like it should be a pedaled moped, is what I hear. That's a Prius,
Get ready to
almost
turn
assuredly. Someone's delivered some cars.
left. Turn left.
Right, so XPO Logistics. We've made it, as long as I don't run into the building and break all the glasses. I assume that's what tableware is. Right, so
You have
I
arrived at your destination.
assume we're parking over there somewhere. Are we between? Yeah, we're between the truck and the forklift. So we'll go here. We'll see how we can line this up. But yeah, it's not even 9 p.m. yet. Now again, things may take a turn for the worst as I sit here and try to park, because, you know, that's the nature of my ability to get things where they need to be here. Especially, I feel like I've done a ton of ETS, which I have not, but I'm just like, why aren't the back wheels turning? I think I'm too far. Oh yeah, I am way too far, so... let's go forward. Probably just need to angle it. I always don't want to back up so much, but then I think I put myself in a bad spot. Actually turning things the right way today, which is rare as well for me. I just seem to have a mental block of how to get things in. I don't want to go too fast, but the idle speed of this for me is always a lot. I'm still not sure. I may have still botched it up. Maybe we're okay. So now we're gonna try to straighten it out a little bit. Still want to rotate some, but not much. Right, so now I think we're in a good spot. This may actually not be too bad, honestly. I'm gonna have to move over a tiny bit, but not a lot. So that might be enough already. No. It's always a little tricky, so we'll shove it in there. And then hopefully we don't hit and catch. I think we'd hit mirrors here. Oh, we're already... Really? Looks like I got a long way to go. So I'm gonna try to get closer to the dock here. Oh, I guess I'm against the dock. Okay. Didn't seem like I was. Seemed to be further back. But if I go out here... No, I'm against the dock. I don't know. That was an optical illusion, man. It looked like I had a long way to go. Well, let's deliver. I mean, luckily I didn't go back too fast, but we're going to see the fragile bonus. And that is why we pick that. Because our progress is XP related. And yes, distances will get us some things. Obviously, that base is there, but if you look at that, 880 for the base, and we almost got 200. I mean, again, it's 22%. So it's not, 25 or whatever, because obviously 800, 200 would be 25% of 800. So 880 is higher. And then, yeah, it was challenging parking. We just had things on both sides, so the 90 is certainly appropriate. But, this breaking 11 or 1000 XP, that's a big thing. And money's important too, because obviously we can't get ourselves any kind of a truck without money. I forgot to ask you to like or subscribe, so please consider doing that. And again, 17,000, but these are just little day cabs, 355 horsepower. Like, I'm going to be really limited in these. But you can see even middle of the road. And yeah, to get some of the models I want, see, this is 435. I think it's going to take a little bit because, yeah, the Western Star, this 5700 XE might be one of the ones. But again, we're down to 370 XP, so, we'll see what we can get. But yeah, kind of the ones I want with the nicer, because, yeah, I think it's the 57 series. I don't know. I thought there was another one, but I'm literally seeing nothing but 5700 XEs available at this point. We'll worry about that when we can worry about it. But the bottom line is, I probably still need $30,000 or $40,000 to be able to afford a used truck. We can only get. The thing I find interesting is I don't understand, like, once my account balance is over, why it won't let me do something. And maybe we just can't access the bank yet is the issue. Like, we can see this, but there is a point in the game at a certain level that says, hey, you can get loans. See, it does tell me, you might need to know favorable loans for your business, visit your banking center, but I can't do anything because it tells me you can borrow $0. So it won't let me do that. But even if I could, I think I could just borrow $3,125, which would only get me to 12,000, which doesn't even get me to the cheapest truck, even if I was willing to take it. But that is where we sit. We've definitely, made a big dent with the 1000 XP. Because once again, we haul loads like that. In 16 loads, we move up a level, which is kind of crazy. And that will be the interesting thing to see with this mod is, does it just stay at that 16,000? Or at certain points, does the XP from one level to the next stretch out more? I would assume it should do that because as I start to unlock more skills and get the ability to make progress, to kind of show that, hey, it still takes time, you'd think you'd want to increase your XP in between. But 16 loads is still not nothing. But once again, when we start to kind of stack skills, when I have a fragile and a heavy load, or a fragile and a just-in-time load together, and then you're getting 20% bonuses twice, then we're suddenly making more progress, and then it becomes, 8 loads to get 16,000 or something. So, and I know later on, even in the base game, at the higher levels, it starts to get to be like, 40,000 per level or something. So you would think that we're going to stay harder than the base game all the time. But, the 16,000 right now, obviously, if we're at level 14, approaching level 15, it's obviously a lot less because we're only at 24,000. And, so it was like a few hundred in the beginning. I know that. And it's probably just finally getting up to 1,000 or so per level now to move up. Enough said at this point, and I will see you next time.